My name is Chris Cefaul, and welcome to another week of Working for a Living. Today we have with us Gerri Guyote and Cathy Walsh from the Peabody Institute Library. Remember, this is the show that lets you go behind the scenes and meet the people who do the jobs that you see every day. Now I'm going to start with Gerri. Hello, Gerri.
Hi, Chris.
Just tell me, what is your title and your job position over there at the library?
Well, I'm the Adult Services Librarian, and I am the person who oversees the purchase and maintenance of the overall collection of the library, the books, the videotapes, the DVDs, all of the materials.
Pretty much everything that people check out or use or whatever.
For the adults,
For
yes.
the adults.
This would not include the young adults or the children's collections. And my area is strictly the materials that are at the main branch, which is at 82 Main Street.
Okay.
I also oversee all the programming that is scheduled for the adults. Anything from lectures to book groups to a concert series to author visits. So there are a variety of programming activities that can go on in a library.
There's a lot.
And I cover all of those things.
I'm going to ask you specifically about those in a minute because those are very interesting. But I just want to ask Cathy, now tell us what you do over there at the library.
Well, I'm the West Branch Librarian, so I keep the West Branch running. And for a lot of people in West Peabody, that's their library. It's a really good-sized library for a branch. A lot different in personality from the main library. Peabody is very, very fortunate because most cities don't have branches anymore. And not only do we have branch libraries, they're healthy, well-used, well-maintained, well-staffed. So I really do think we're very, very lucky. And the West Branch, I don't think it looks like a branch. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. It looks like a main library for many of the cities and towns.
It's huge.
In the North Shore.
It's really big.
It truly is. And it's a nice library, and that's my job. I keep the West Branch going. So.
You know what, I think I'll ask you guys this right away since you kind of touched on it. I was going to ask it a little bit later, but who funds the library? Is it the state? Is it the city? Who actually funds you guys?
It's all and both of those.
Really?
Some of our money comes down through the federal government, through grants. Some of it is state appropriated, and then some of it is, it's all channeled to us through the city.
Okay.
So we are a department of the city.
And now, like, most people in the state, you're experiencing some sort of a crunch. They've cut hours a little bit. And, how do you guys deal with that? Without getting, I know you probably don't want to get too deep into it, but how do you deal with all these things, staff shortages? Do you have to make up things as you go along, or?
We kind of deal with those fiscal crises as they occur. Right now, the library's goal is to stay open to the public as much as we can, so that what the current plan is, many of the part-time staff have had minimal hours cut from their weekly number of hours.
Okay.
So that we've cut back our Friday afternoon hours.
It's to what, 6 or?
Well, it used to be all branches on Fridays from 9 to 5, and now it's only the main branch on Friday from 9 to 1.
Okay.
So we're just basically open in the mornings for people to check books in, check books out, and to answer very quick questions on using the internet PCs.
But again, I think we're lucky.
We're
I
very
think
lucky.
Compared to some communities, we're faring well during this sort of budget crisis that everybody's going through. And I think right now what we've done has just been in the spirit of cooperation more than, we've had to do this. I think the staff, our goal, of course, is to, as Gerri said, keep it open, keep it running, not to have to lay off or cut staff. So in that spirit of cooperation, we have, I think, done a lot of voluntary cutting back of hours and closing on a certain day. And if that's the worst that happens, we can deal with that
You're
fine.
dealing with it, but that's something you guys actually do amongst yourselves. It's not like someone mandates it down, do this, do that. They say this is what we're working with, and you figure out how to keep it going in between that.
So far. Yeah, so far.
I was going to ask you something else about that, but I forgot. Let's just move on then, because I wanted to ask you both this. I'll start with you, Cathy. What's your favorite book?
It was and probably remains the complete works of Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes fans.
I
Yeah.
love it. I'd say I love it. I actually was turned on to this by an 8th grade English teacher who, he knew I loved to read, and he said, I really want you to take this. And it wasn't the complete works, it was just one. It was just a story. And I read it, I loved it, and I went and got the complete works. I own it, and I go back to it every so
Is it
often.
I mean, I have one, but, you know, it's just like a collector's copy or something maybe valuable. Or,
Oh, I don't think so.
okay, I was wondering.
I should check on that.
The
I
way
don't
you
know.
said that, though,
But
the way you said it, you know.
I don't know. Except that I bought this copy, many years ago, and I have it, and I go back to it. And I have a lot of favorite books. It's very hard, I think, when you love books to choose any one thing. It's like saying, who's your favorite child? Because you, truly, because you have so many of them that you love. But I still think that, for me, that's what I love the best.
You're right. I mean, it's like saying, what's your favorite movie? I mean, how can you pick just one?
so
Your favorite
hard.
restaurant? How can you pick just one?
Right.
But personally, I'm with you on the Sherlock Holmes. He's one of my favorites.
Oh, me too.
Tell me, what about you?
This is a really difficult question. It's a real toss-up for me, I think, between To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which I've always loved, and more recently a book written by Michael Cunningham called The Hours, which is written in tribute to an earlier author, a female author, and he assumes her writing style. And so my love of this book is probably more because of his ability as a writer to completely duplicate another writer's style of writing and carry the story on almost as if she had written it and not Michael Cunningham.
Confused. Is it he's basing it on her life and then assuming her, or is it complete fiction, but he's assuming her?
He uses a work called Mrs. Dalloway as the basis for his novel, and her writing style, Virginia Woolf's writing style in that book,
I see.
is duplicated essentially in this book with an entirely new set of characters and an entirely different time period. However, Mrs. Dalloway and Virginia Woolf do feature in The Hours. It's a homage to Virginia Woolf, this book,
Okay.
and it's masterfully written. So that's why I have to keep that on my list.
The first one you mentioned, I really should read because I've never seen the movie and I've never read the book, and I try to read some classics. And now that you recommended it, I think I'll check it out next time I see you.
It's a wonderful book. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, both of you now, you'll probably have a good take on this. When I was growing up, libraries were, I just remember having to be so quiet. They were kind of stuffy and shh, all over the place. It's not like that anymore at all. It's almost, kids, they're doing their college work, they're on the internet. It's a little more festive. How do you, you must like it.
I think we love it.
We
love
love
it.
it.
I work with obviously we work with a lot of other librarians, not just in Peabody, but all over the North Shore. And I don't know anybody. I don't know of a librarian that doesn't like their job, which is, that's saying a lot.
I'd say.
I never mind coming into work when I get up in the morning. I love libraries. I was a military kid, so I moved around from state to state, city to city. And somehow, until I made friends in whatever new place I was at, I always knew I could go to the library. And it was the same. And I felt safe. I felt like I had friends. The books were like friends,
It's like an oasis to you. I could imagine that moving around.
Absolutely. And I always felt lucky. So I somehow, though I don't know that I actually planned on it consciously, it was almost like a subconscious thing that I ended up where I'm at. I still love them. I've never gotten over that awe of walking in that building and, thinking about all the accumulated knowledge that is within those walls. I get excited when I can put the right book into the hands of a child or an adult when they ask for it. And I have a son who's 25, and his favorite book when he was a little kid was Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Love the book. You know this book. Yes. I love it.
How long before you could say the title?
Love it. Well, I don't know that he can even now. But there are actually a series of Alexander books. But in the Alexander book, he goes through this whole thing of a very bad day, as a kid can relate to. And he keeps saying, I'm going to move to Australia. And at the end he says, I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. But my mom says, some days are just like that, even in Australia. And to this day, my 25-year-old son, if he's having a really bad day, he'll stop home and he says to me, I'm moving to Australia.
And you know
I know what he means.
That's
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah.
I can tell you're the right person for the right job. You have a love for this. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I can see it on your face.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I love what I'm doing. I like working with the public. I really do. I generally, and I think.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I would imagine that's a little different. Because I was just going to say, and I think Gerri will back me up, I think the public that we work with is a little different. You certainly get those kids that need the book at the last minute. They're not readers. They just need a book for a certain assignment. But by and large, I think readers are a different breed of person. I think that they're, I don't know, they're more aware, or
It opens up your awareness too once you start.
absolutely. And I think that's the public we are generally working with. So I think we fare better than a restaurant, you know, if we work
Because, you know,
there.
they're not saying, this is overcooked.
Exactly, right. Or the post
How do you,
office.
you must feel the same way.
I love my job. I've only been a librarian for about 3 years now.
Really?
As a full-time professional. I went through a career transition, and this is what I chose to do.
Do you mind if I ask you what was your old career?
I was a marketing coordinator for
Corporate?
consulting companies.
Okay.
So, but the kind of job I did as a marketing coordinator, I needed to have available to me databases of information and be able to retrieve it and give it back to the engineers or the trainers, whoever I was working for. So there were a lot of similarities between that job and my job now, in that I love organizing information and I love presenting it to people, and that's exactly what I did as a marketing coordinator, and that's what I'm doing as a librarian.
You know, that definitely leads me to my next question. Is there some sort of a course or certificate or special schooling that you have to take to be a librarian, or, I mean, just a general degree, or how does that work?
Well, there is a master's degree available, and it's called a Master's of Library Science, MLS. And in order to be considered a professional librarian, you need to complete that program. And there's only one school in this area that offers the program, and that's over at Simmons College.
You cannot be, I mean, you can work in a library, but you can't be, I guess, head librarian or librarian without that course.
Exactly.
Really?
It's a shame that they don't have state schools here in Massachusetts that offer it. There are some people that have gone to Rhode Island. I think, to get it, you know, to go to a state school, which is a lot cheaper, because Simmons is the only school in Massachusetts that offers it. And it's a private college, and it's a lot of money. So I do wish that something would happen about that.
Is that something, though, I mean, you take after your bachelor's degree, or, you know what I mean, like, I mean, it's a separate thing. It's not like you go for 4 years and study library science.
It's a master's program, so you would achieve that after you completed a bachelor's degree.
You can't even take it until you have the bachelor's degree.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I wasn't sure how you meant that at first.
Yes.
But you must like the fact that libraries have grown so much. Personally, what I like, aside from the fact that everything's free, which is my favorite thing about it, movies, CDs, I mean, they even had large print books. I mean, you must have to know so many things and train in new technologies, or, I mean, if people ask you questions about the music or whatever, I mean, you must like that, though, the variety, not just books.
Good question.
I could never ask it again, so
Very
don't ask me
good.
to.
Yeah.
There is an unspeakable amount of information that we can offer, and all we need is the question. So we're always asking people, please ask us. There's no such thing as a dumb question, no matter what it is you're looking for. Just ask, because we're there to help. And it could be something as simple as, I need the title of a book, or I need a magazine article that appeared in 1963 in Newsweek, or
How would they get that if someone wanted that? I mean, you don't have microfiche anymore.
well, we do have newspapers on microfilm.
You do? Okay.
Most of the journals and magazine articles are available to us through online databases. So
Really?
we and or the state purchase certain databases of information and make them available through the internet to the patrons to use, and so they can get full text magazine articles from anything from Jet magazine to Newsweek to New England Journal of Medicine, full scholarly academic art, you know. So there's just a plethora of information available And all you have to do is ask.
Who compiles that information? Is it, if you want a Jet magazine, you type in Jet magazine, or is there a national, not national, but some sort of an archive for all this stuff?
Well, a database like that there's an aggregate company who is purchasing the rights to provide that. And so the publishers of the magazines work through database managers who compile the databases and then sell them to libraries, to colleges, to whoever needs.
So it's a business, too.
It's a business.
Wow.
It's a business.
And today, they offer this as part of the course. Of course, many years ago, they didn't because it wasn't available. So you need a lot of people that have been in the business for a good many years certainly need to do on-the-job training. They need to keep up with things. And we're very fortunate because certainly training is available. We belong to Noble, north of Boston Library Exchange.
That's right.
And they provide our service. It's a consortium, and they provide a lot of training, and they're really good, as well as NEMRLs, and you know, they offer us the opportunity to come and learn how to search databases. And that's how it started, and it's continuous. You know, they just keep offering more and more. So you go and you learn how to do this, and eventually you get comfortable with it.
And we in turn train our patrons on how to use these databases. They're not databases that are strictly intended for librarians to use. They're very user-friendly, and it's within 5 minutes I can have a patron.
Are they super friendly? Because I always have a problem.
They could be searching up to like 500 databases at one time,
Wow.
or magazine journal titles, you know, with certain keywords. And so if you're doing a research paper, or if you're trying to, you know, buy a new car, whatever you're trying to do, it's very easy to use anymore, and it's just a matter of giving us a little time to show patrons how to do it.
We have classes.
And we offer classes.
You know, that was the next thing. First of all, no matter how easy everyone says computers is, I always end up kicking it, but that's the other side of it.
I'm with you.
Because, you know, you can have a computer expert in the room, and he still sits there and he has trouble, so what kind of a shot do I have?
That's right.
But you offer so many things. I mean, last time I was there was a bilingual course going on. I know maybe you don't host it, but you know what I mean, you let them have the space.
They're ESL classes.
And tell me about that.
English as a second language is a course that's offered through a local community action group called NASCAP, and they teach people immigrating into the area how to speak English. And we provide them with classroom space, and we provide them with internet ports, so they actually do computer training as well besides actual language training. So, 5 days a week they're in the library doing their classes, and those classes are extremely popular. There is a wait list to take the English as a second language courses that NASCAP offers. So and as a community center, we feel that's important that we make that available.
Library is such a resource. I mean, it's an unbelievable resource. What kind of things do you have going over? I mean, do you have the same, or do each library have a few different classes or seminars?
Yeah, they're different, though. I really, the branch libraries they're in the neighborhoods. They just have a different personality, a different flavor. They offer all of the same things that the main library offers, just, I guess, at a lesser degree. Yeah, of course, we have programming. We have children's programming and adult programming, and we do book groups, and you know, we have books and computers, and as you mentioned, CDs, DVDs, videos, you know, all kinds of things available, and newspapers and magazines. And I always say we have a great little reading area, and it's all kind of glass, and it looks out onto the trees in the back, and I always say when I retire I'm coming back there to read because I don't have time to do it right now.
That is a beautiful place. Is that the place that looks like a mansion? It looks like an old mansion, or am I thinking?
I think you're thinking of Danvers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I've been to both of them, but only once or twice each. So, but
right.
Then yours is the one that's kind of a modern-looking building when you go inside. Is it more modern?
It is. I would call it more modern. It looks kind of small from the outside or from the front. If you drove around the back, you sort of get the idea of just how large this place is, and it's a really good-sized library for a branch.
How do you? Go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate that we really try to respond to the interests of the community. So we try to reflect in what we offer, what the neighborhoods or what the community is looking for. So.
Right. I would order differently than she does.
Yes.
Because I think part of our job is kind of figuring out what the patrons who use that particular library are looking for. So, and you get to know the library very well. So I know my patrons love mysteries, suspense, lighter fiction. I know what they like, so I give it to them, and that's how
So
it
you
works.
take requests, in other words. People come in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
we're willing to consider any book or movie that someone is interested in having available at the library. So.
You just made me think of something that could be tiny touchy, but I mean, in the older days, I know they used to ban certain books. Some things, Catcher in the Rye comes to my mind. I mean, what is that even happen now? Things are so loose now. I mean, does that even happen now?
Well, we do have policies for the purchase and management of the collections.
Okay.
And so we are guided by the policies that are set by the library.
Okay.
And so there are certain reviews, journals, the New York Times Book Review, items like that we will follow for making our selections.
Can you get Catcher in the Rye? I mean, is that back on?
I would hope so.
That was a long time ago. I'm really
Right.
showing my age. That was a long time ago. I
Right.
remember reading about it. Something else a little touchy. I know you guys have mentioned before, you deal with so many things. I mean, from bike locks, you have to issue bike locks, but you also deal with the homeless population at times. And I didn't even want to ask you all that about before because I know it might be kind of in depth. Why don't you take that one first?
Well, I did work at the main library for a lot of years. I started out at the West and now I'm back there, but for a number of years I worked downtown at our main library. And yes, we have homeless people. They come in, they sit down, they read a newspaper. Sometimes they use the bathrooms. But we're very democratic in our approach to things. I mean, certainly if we thought somebody was a threat to anybody that was in the library, they would be asked to leave. But it's a public building. It's open to all. Information is open to all. Services are open to one and all, and we don't discriminate at all, with anybody.
And we're very respectful of everyone, so that we try not to engage in too many personal conversations. It's probably reasonably important that we not know too much about many of the people that are coming in. So oftentimes you may see the same person day after day, could have the appearance of one segment of society, or it could be someone from a very different segment of society. And
It's true, you can't always tell.
we're just respectful and dememocratic to everyone.
If you ever saw me on a Saturday morning, you may be wondering.
We'd ask you to leave.
Or at least shower.
Yeah, really.
But we're getting close to the end of this show, and I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that either one of you wanted to get out while we're here? You can go
I
first.
just
Scott,
wanted
you go
to
first.
just say we like to think of the library as a real, not only as a community center, but as a cultural center. So when I try to schedule adult programming, I try to think of health lectures or pop culture lectures, popular books, music, arts and crafts, skills building, job research. So I try to think of all kinds of things, not just book-related types of lectures that the neighborhood would have an interest in joining. So I just wanted to say I like people to think of the library as a place that we hope everyone will come to. It's easy to use, and think of it as a cultural center.
In other words, and feel free if someone had an interest, if they wanted a lecture on it or a special thing on it, they could ask you.
They
You might
could
be able to do
certainly.
it.
I keep a running list of things that people have requested, and Cathy and I and the librarian at the South Branch, we talk about different programs that. So there's always a very dynamic conversation going on about what we need to do and what would be successful for the people of Peabody.
Very good. I'm sure they appreciate it too. I really am. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's you were talking about this mansion, and the one that's in Danvers, because I think it looks like that as well. But George Peabody, I don't think it's any accident that he started many libraries, but certainly both ours and the one in Danvers. And you know, when he talked about education being a debt that we owed to future generations, and so of course he started libraries, and you know, there are many ways to get an education, and a library is one of them. I just think it's a really great resource center for anybody. There are so many quotes about libraries and how much they have meant to certain people. I wouldn't want to see a world without them, and I really mean that.
I totally agree.
I just think they are wonderful, wonderful places where you can go and educate yourself. We actually have books on this. What to read and what to do if you want to self-educate. So yeah, I think we feel kind of passionately about what we do.
Absolutely.
But they're just, I hope we can somehow make people out there understand it's a wonderful place.
I think you're right. You know, you don't have to convert me. I think they have the most minute things. When I was in broadcasting school, I was having trouble with my voice. I actually found a book that said how to use your voice. It was written by a throat doctor, and it was absolutely unbelievable. And he had helped certain celebrities. I mean, the most minute thing, you know, you might need. You can find it at a library. That's why I think it's the best resource in the world. I'm definitely converted.
It's true.
I'm going to have to say goodbye to my guests, and I'm going to have to say goodbye to the people watching. Gerri, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Kathy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to all of you, hope to see you next time on Working for a Living.